Hi, Amber. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thank you. And so excited to talk to you today for the film because I just was blown away by it. I had such a great time with the movie. And Naru is such a great character and so awesome seeing her make use of all these badass weapons in the film. But I'm wondering if you had a favorite that you enjoyed getting hands on with.
Yeah, I mean all of them. I think that the incorporation of weapons was really well done and also, Comanche people going back are incredible warriors and so to and hunters. So to be able to explore that, especially on screen, I think is a really unique and very cool thing that we got to do.
Yeah, and in terms of training for that side of things, was there a lot of that in advance, or was there an element of almost learning on the job as you were shooting the movie?
I think it was both. I mean, we had a 4-week training camp that we all went to before we started shooting that was, that had all the weapons and we made our own sign language that was based off of real Comanche sign language and worked with the stunt team and worked with personal trainers and stuff like that. But also, we shot for so long that at some point there's things that are being constructed and stuff that you're learning that, you only have the option to do it at work.
Absolutely. And of course, Predator is such an iconic franchise, and Prey feels like a really important next step after some not so great films in the past. We're now moving on to a different era for the franchise. So, was it important to you that, obviously, as well as it being a great sci fi film, as you said, that Comanche nation side of things is very authentic and just great representation that we don't necessarily always see in a movie like this?
Yeah, to me that is the that I never knew originally that this was a Predator film. I only knew this movie to be about a young Comanche woman who wanted to be a hunter. So to me that is what the movie was. And then later I found out, that also there was like a big alien space monster. So that was like, a side piece of the movie. I mean definitely the representation to me is huge because that's how, I mean, around the world, obviously First Nations people of like North America are not everywhere, and even in North America a very small population. So especially in media, getting to showcase especially period culture, like, when you make a period piece and you show First Nations people or Indigenous people and having that be accurate and also very human and grounded and relatable, has a huge impact on the community and the people, in my opinion. So to me, that was hugely important.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And this is a fantastic, almost historic film in that sense. And then it is an amazing Predator film as well. So for you, coming the first time you were on set and you came face to face with that Predator, what was that experience like for you? I can imagine it must have been almost quite surreal.
I saw the Predator first, I think by accident. I heard like whispers of some sort of like show and tell happening, and I saw people like slowly disappearing. So I was like, what's going on over there? And I like snuck over. I like looked, and like in the woods, I saw this like, the creature, and he was moving and the head and the mouth. And I went, I could take him. And that was what I said. For some reason, that was my instinct, was like, oh, I could fight that. Like it was like far less intimidating than I had imagined. And then immediately was like, went back to like, I feel like that was my like Naru brain, and then immediately went back to my brain. And I was like, no, that's wild. That's a giant monster. Um, so it was very cool to see, especially because so much of it is practical, it's the suit and the animatronic head that, takes 4 people to run just the face. So seeing that for the first time was wild.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine. And this is a movie, obviously, it goes without saying, has a lot of badass action in it. But then at the same time, it's a really empowering story about this young woman who, as it says in the film, wants to be a warrior, not a cook. So, what about that side of things did you enjoy exploring? And why was it important to you to be able to play this character who is, I think, going to be very inspiring to a lot of people out there?
Hmm. Um, the feeling of really, I think, believing in yourself or believing in something, and then wanting to prove that to people or having naysayers and making that, that making you believe in it more, and then also having moments where you also doubt yourself. I think that is relatable no matter what the challenge is and no matter who you are. And that's really what she goes through. To me, that's really her journey. And then, on top of that, I think that it's an incredible thing that 20th Century did and that Dan did, is to get behind a movie like this where there is a strong female indigenous character in an action movie like this, where people can look at it, and especially native people, like native women, native kids, can look at it and hopefully identify with and go, wow, like we have our own now, like we have, and we're getting more. But that to me is what I think is really amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And the film does find such a great balance of that representation, as I said before, being a really awesome
Yeah.
Predator movie. So look into the future. I feel like people are going to want a sequel the second they finish watching this one. So would you like to come back and continue exploring that character of Naru, do you think?
That is a conversation that I think I would be, I've not heard anything about, but I would be, not against having the conversation.
Oh, fingers crossed. And because you also get a very cute canine co-star in this film who now spends a lot of time with. So what was that like for you working on set with obviously having a real animal there?
Oh my God, that dog was chaos. That dog was a disaster, but like in a very cute way. She is not, she was adopted like 2 months before the shooting of the movie, because they found that to be the most accurate dog for the time period and the area. So, she didn't have years of training or anything like that. She also happened to be like the highest energy dog you will ever meet in the world. So that makes the things made every day she was around quite chaotic and also exciting. But I loved her. I think she's great.
Yeah, and because without getting into spoilers, you're part of that awesome scene with the bear, and the dog obviously factors into that. But what was that like to shoot? Because it seems like there's a good mixture of practical effects, visual effects. There must have been quite an intense day on set for you, though.
That we shot that over like a week and some change.
Wow.
So that was an intense day. It was, the bear was literally a guy in a bear suit. I don't know if there was a real bear at any point, but to me, what I was acting with was a guy in a bear suit going like through the beaver dam, which is kind of really hilarious when you think about it. But no, I mean, it was very intense. Just the like, we had 2 locations to shoot that sequence, and one of them was a real river out in the mountains of Alberta. And so we would drive an hour and some change, and then hike down a mountain, get in a boat, ride across the river, and then arrive at the shooting location. And the river was like Arctic glacial runoff water from the mountains. So even though it was summer, that water was it was freezing cold. And we were in there for so long, and then going and shooting it on another location where we had a stage and a pool and all this stuff, and then there were explosions and the guy in the bear suit. Like, it was just so much, there was so much happening throughout that whole sequence that to like see the finished product of it, to me, is very rewarding and very different from my memories of making it.
Well, I bet. Well, Amber, I can't wait for people to see that, and can't wait for people to see this awesome movie, and hope we get to see you return to the franchise down the line. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you.